You are told that poverty is the result of bad choices, that the least successful people simply did not work hard enough, did not want it badly enough, did not discipline themselves enough. It is a comforting story, but it is also a false one, and on some level I suspect you already know that. The man working 3 jobs and still unable to pay his rent is not lazy. The woman who saves meticulously for 6 months, only to lose everything to medical bills, is not undisciplined. These are not personal failures. They are the outputs of a system functioning exactly as it was designed to function. The question is not why these individuals fail. The question is why the system produces these outcomes so reliably, repeatedly, and predictably across generations. What kind of machine produces the same result every time? I spent my life building factories. I understood systems long before economists gave them academic names. And when I look at the economic conditions facing working Americans today, I do not see chaos. I see a regulator. In mechanical engineering, a governor is a device attached to an engine. Its purpose is not to move the engine forward. Its purpose is to limit its speed. When the engine accelerates beyond a predetermined threshold, the governor engages and reduces that speed. The engine continues running. It continues consuming fuel. It creates the sensation of motion, but it never exceeds the boundary set by the governor. It continues within that limit. Poverty functions as a limiting mechanism on the potential of the human economy. It does not eliminate effort. It exhausts it. It allows just enough progress to sustain belief in the process, and then it pulls output back into a controlled range. You work, you strive, you sacrifice, and the limiting mechanism engages every time. Understanding this is not pessimism. It is mechanical literacy, and mechanical literacy is the first step toward mechanical intervention. The first component of this control mechanism is what I will call bandwidth restriction. When financial pressure is constant and severe, the human mind narrows its focus to immediate survival. This is not a character flaw. It is a neurological reality. The cognitive resources required for long-term planning, risk evaluation, and disciplined decision-making are limited. When those resources are consumed by the daily arithmetic of scarcity, they become unavailable for anything else. Economic reinforcement is precise. A mind operating under bandwidth restriction becomes far more likely to accept high-interest, short-term credit, to delay preventive maintenance until it becomes emergency repair, to repeatedly purchase low-quality goods instead of buying superior goods once. Each of these decisions is rational within the immediate constraint. But over time, each deepens the constraint. The practical escape from this component is not motivation, it is margin, a financial buffer of $500 to $1,000 held in reserve and untouched, except for genuine emergencies, begins restoring cognitive capacity. It turns catastrophes into inconveniences. It allows the mind to see beyond the next 2 weeks. This is not a small thing. It is the foundational base upon which every subsequent decision rests. The second component is the Consumption Substitution Mechanism. Prolonged economic stress produces real psychological pain. Stress hormones remain chronically elevated. The individual begins to feel invisible, insignificant, ineffective. The brain, functioning as designed, seeks relief, and consumption provides it. It may not be permanent, but it is reliable. Purchasing a status signaling object, a new device, a branded garment, produces a measurable neurological reward. The pain decreases. For a brief period, the person feels capable, valuable, in control. This is not irrationality. It is the brain solving the problem it has been given. But economic math is ruthless. The dopamine effect lasts 20 minutes. The debt instrument used to finance it may last 20 years, and each payment on that debt tightens the bandwidth restriction created by the first mechanism. The two components feed each other. Exit requires a temporary but deliberate restructuring of the reward system. For a defined period, consumption is reduced to essentials, not permanently, temporarily, long enough for the brain to begin associating reward with saving rather than spending. This is not deprivation for its own sake. It is a controlled recalibration of the reward system upon which the governor depends to sustain itself. The third component is the time-income ceiling. The standard economic arrangement offered to workers is a direct exchange of hours for wages. It is presented as fair to all, but structurally, it is limiting. Time is a fixed quantity. Therefore, the income derived from time exchange is also capped. Especially under inflationary pressure, expenses are not fixed. When the cost of living rises faster than wages, the individual must work more hours to maintain the same standard of living. More hours worked means less time available for skill development, rest, and planning. This condition restricts your ability to adapt. Escape from this component requires shifting from time-value exchange to skill stack leverage. Not mastery in a single discipline, but the combination of 2 or 3 competencies that together produce a capability the market cannot easily replicate or replace. A person who can produce something, sell it, and manage the surrounding process has created a position of genuine scarcity. The market pays for what it cannot easily reproduce. It pays for rarity, not labor. The fourth component is environmental inertia. Human behavior is heavily influenced by the behavioral norms of one's immediate social environment. This is not weakness. It is how social animals preserve cohesion. But when the social environment adapts to scarcity, the norms it enforces, the language it uses, the ambitions it permits will reflect and reproduce that scarcity. The individual who begins altering behavior will encounter resistance. That resistance is not always malicious. Often it is discomfort. Growth acts as a mirror, and not everyone wishes to look into it. The practical solution is not social exile, but the deliberate selection of intellectual inputs. The voices shaping your reasoning do not have to be the voices physically nearest to you. Through reading, study, and careful selection of whose ideas you spend time with, you can construct a cognitive environment different from the one your geography provides. This is available to anyone. It requires only intention and discipline. The fifth component is compound reversal. Compound growth is a mathematical force. It operates with equal indifference in both directions. For those carrying interest-bearing debt, time works against them. For those holding productive assets, time works in their favor. The poverty cycle, by design, positions its participants on the wrong side of this equation. Crossing that line proceeds in 3 stages. The first stage is stopping the bleeding. High-interest liabilities are eliminated. A buffer is built. The governor begins to lose control over the bandwidth mechanism. The second stage is asset acquisition. Not speculative instruments, not complex arrangements. Simple, low-cost vehicles with productive economic capacity. Investing $10 a day consistently into a broad market index fund is not dramatic, but it is mathematically sound. The snowball effect is small at the beginning. It must be small at the beginning. Mathematics does not require drama. It requires patience and consistency. A small snowflake becomes an avalanche over time. The third stage is threshold crossing. This is the point at which income generated from assets begins covering basic survival requirements. This is escape velocity. The governor disengages. Time is no longer the only commodity available for sale. Now return to the governor metaphor. The governor is not personally interested in you. It is a mechanism. It responds to inputs and produces outputs. It can be understood. It can be analyzed. and once understood with sufficient precision, it can be deliberately disengaged. Control returns to you. The 5 components of the poverty cycle are not destiny. They are engineering, and what is engineered by one set of conditions can be redesigned by another set. You can redesign it. Awareness of the system is the first stage. You cannot dismantle what you refuse to define. Behavioral restructuring, buffering, reward recalibration, skill stacking, environmental regulation. This is the second stage. You are not changing who you are. You are changing the inputs the system extracts from you. Economic leverage positioning, asset acquisition, compound reversal. This is the third stage. At this stage, the governor loses its mechanical authority over your output. The cage door was never locked from the outside. That is the uncomfortable truth this analysis reaches toward. The lock is inside. It consists of the mechanisms whose names you now know. Name them, understand them, dismantle them piece by piece. The machine can be defeated, but only by someone who first stops pretending it does not exist. That person is you.